I get a text from Leon, my boy, who was on here last week. We were talking about Leave the World Behind and some other things. And he was like, yo, I forgot exactly what he said, but he's like, there's a Katt Williams interview. And that is a special bat signal to a person like me who believes, who has to believe that there are, I'm saying two, but truly there are probably infinite number, but I'm just going to say there are two ways, two lanes that you can go down in pursuit of entertainment, creative performance as a career path. And I think that those two lanes are described and portrayed well throughout this entire interview. But if I want to apply faces to them, this is going to be a little spicy. If I want to apply faces to them, for the moment, let's go with Katt Williams and Kevin Hart, because that's what Katt Williams has offered to us in this interview. Katt Williams is sitting across from Shannon Sharpe, which in and of itself is spectacle, because Shannon Sharpe is 6'4", muscle bound, jacked, wearing, sort of like a almost skin tight figure laying, looking very expensive cloth, where you can see like all of his muscular physique. He is the host of Club Shay Shay. I have my own critiques of Shannon. I think he is walking down the Kevin Hart path as it is, and we'll talk about exactly what that path is. And then across from him, sitting just 2 feet away from him in his Katt Williams-esque garb, and I'm wearing an outfit today that I think is in the spirit of sort of like the Katt Williams vibe, as I would do it, not as exactly as he does. He's from Ohio. I'm from Maryland. Like, we're different people. But Katt Williams is sitting there, and he is all of probably 5'5", I would guess 135 pounds. Graying hair and features, and looking like he has probably smoked 5 blunts already this morning, but razor sharp, as he always is. Like, his mind is sharp. His mind is clicking. And the interview already has almost 5 million views in less than 24 hours. It is doing fantastic numbers for Shannon. I think it's going to reverberate into the rest of the year. Like, I think comedians are going to come on and give their takes on Kevin's takes, and it's going to have that media swell of amplification that you're always looking for if you're in the media business. And in a very, very, in our own world, which we are building right now, I am starting to watch our own content start to find its own amplification. Like, I'm starting to see more and more people watching our reels, more and more people sharing our stuff. I can look at the back end that Instagram gives me as a blue check, which shows me in great detail, like, all the ways that people are sharing and looking at our content. And so the first thought I had when I looked and started this interview and noticed that it was trending #1 on Twitter was, this is going to be amazing for Shannon's show, no matter how it goes, no matter what was said, no matter what light Shannon is painted in this interview. Like, this is great for Shannon's show. And let's just set that aside for a second. All right, let's talk about two lanes. I want to start by playing 2 clips. The first clip is going to be Katt Williams talking about Kevin Hart. And the second clip is going to be Kevin Hart on The Breakfast Club talking about Katt Williams. So let's start with the Katt Williams clip, please. Okay, can we stop it right there? All right. I'm starting here. I took 10, I wrote down 10 things from this interview that I found to be the most interesting or most important things that Katt Williams says. And this one is at the top. It is underlined. This to me is the part, like this, in my opinion, as someone who means to be subversive, like that is a part of what I do. As someone who means to be, who wants to play the role of storyteller, truth teller, right? Comedians live in that lane. And within that particular lane, I think it's so easy. I want to be really clear about this. I think it's very easy for people to dismiss Katt Williams. I used to dismiss Katt Williams because I was like, I'll say it super plain. He was all the things that people judge about black people. He's all the things that black people judge about other black people. And it was easy to dismiss his voice as like on that other side of the line. Like that's gross, right? But I'm saying it out loud and you also know that you do it. Now, I have since become more interested in what Katt Williams has to say, particularly when he's not doing stand-up, but when he's doing interviews, because I think he does something that so many people who consider themselves bold wish that they could do, which is break the fourth wall, tell you what's actually going on in these rooms, in these industries, without, I'm talking about saying names and faces, and he's calling out Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Tiffany Haddish, like he's going down the line and Harvey Weinstein, like you name it. If he thinks that they have done something nefarious or something undermining or something grotesque, he is saying it out loud, and you can hear, I love the clip because you can hear his clarity. Like you can hear, the truth is unknowable. Whether or not someone's telling the truth, I can never know that, but I can tell when someone's saying something that they believe to be true. That's how he sounds throughout this entire interview. Like it's coming from inside him, through him, into the microphone. Let's talk about what he's actually saying, though. Industry plants. Industry plants, we have turned into the boogeyman, right? We've turned them into Santa Claus. We've turned them into something that is folklore, which and in doing so, I think we have taken away from what is actually real in the conversation around industry plants. We have made industry plants sound like across music, entertainment, even like in the tech world, there used to be like this industry plant jargon or conversation around how did so-and-so become a CEO? He's an industry plant. Amazon is a secret investor in this company, so they just put him at the top of it so they could puppet him. People say it about media figures all the time. People call Stephen A. Smith an industry plant. Let's talk about what an industry plant when we say it and we sensationalize it and we make it sound like it's just so ridiculously powerful in a way that is outrageous, we reduce the value of like what an industry plant actually is. There is such a real thing as an industry plant. I'm going to describe what it is right now. I'm going to describe it in the vein of what we are building right here. So, right now, a big part of this media entity that we are building, Nothing But Anarchy, is that we do the show, we rent studio time in a studio space, we do the show, we cut up little clips of it, we distribute them on YouTube and Twitter, and Instagram is the most valuable property to us right now. TikTok, we're there too. But Instagram is where most of my following is. And then, as the Dave Chappelle clip is doing, it's got about like 16,000 views in the last, I want to say like 12 to 18 hours. We see which ones are doing well. And then I take money out of my own little piggy bank, like $10, $20, and I say, okay, for the next 4 days, Instagram, I want you to show this to whoever you think might like it. This is how the algorithm works. You pay the algorithm. You say, hey, algorithm, show this to other people who might like this thing. It already showed that it had some value with my audience. Let's see if there's a greater audience out there. And I specifically tell the algorithm, I don't know if this is news to anybody. Maybe you guys all know this. I didn't know this 7 months ago. I get to choose. Okay, algorithm, The algorithm, the Instagram tells me, okay, you can choose to send this traffic. The people that like this, you can send them to a website, you can send them to your profile, or you can send them to some third place, which I can't remember. And generally speaking, I either send them to the podcast or I send them to my profile. Over time, what I'm watching happen just on like $10, $20 a day on these things, I'm watching new people who never heard of me show up because they want to see more of what I have, because I'm feeding the algorithm little sprinkles of what I can afford, which is like not a lot, okay? $10, $20, $30 here and there. If I had a daily budget of $3,000 to pay into that algorithm, because my content is dope, I would be able to reach tens of thousands of people a day who would want to follow along and see more of what we're building. And from there, I can sell them other stuff. I can send them a yearbook. I can sell them merchandise. I can sell them digital properties. They will subscribe to my Substack, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? That's how it works, okay? So remember, the formula is no matter how good or bad your product is, like if you have more money to show it to people, you have a greater opportunity to elevate as an entity. An industry plant, like let's just keep it really focused in here. An industry plant is just somebody who has a large bankroll that somebody else gave them to feed into that system, which exists everywhere. That's just paid marketing. Like that's what it is. What Katt Williams is saying is that Kevin Hart is somebody who on the front end of his journey, instead of taking the Katt Williams path, which is I'm going to piece all this shit together, I'm going to do the Chitlin circuit, then I'm going to do 100 tour dates, then I'm going to put my own posters and flyers and shit up, I'm going to hire a team, I'm going to invest my own money back into this thing so that I don't have to sell away my words, so I don't have to sell away my voice. I was watching Kevin Hart on the Manning brothers, telecast on ESPN2 during a football game. And somebody asked him, who the fuck was that asked him this? We talked about it. Who asked him about Josh Giddey? Can somebody remember? I got to say it clearly because we need it for the real. It was a comedian. Shit. It was some Katt Williams-esque person. Please, Morgan, do you have it?
I'm looking.
Who was it? Come on.
Patrick Beverly?
Yes! Okay. Pat Beverly, also an anarchist, on that Manning telecast, he looks with that Pat Beverly look that he be having, he looks at Kevin Hart, and he's like, so, I'm paraphrasing, what do you think about this Josh Giddey shit? If you remember, the Josh Giddey situation is there is a current NBA player playing every other night for the Oklahoma City Thunder who is currently accused of having sex with an underage girl, okay? And Kevin Hart says, he mumbles, stumbles. Do you have the quote there, Morgan, or should I just paraphrase?
Of the thing, no.
Of what Kevin, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Kevin Hart says in so many words, hey man, I ain't talking about that. I got sponsors. Like basically that, okay? What Katt Williams is saying, I'm sorry that I'm taking so much time to get here because this is the whole, to me, this is the whole thing. This is why I wish I could turn this camera around so you guys could see what's going on in here. This is why we're doing it like this and not at a Viacom studio, okay? This is why we're doing it like this. Can I turn this camera around? We'll cut in a shot of it later, Morgan. If you can you remember that? Can you take a note of that? Like, this is why you do it the ski mask way, so that when somebody asks you a real question that has a substantive answer and you have a voice and you have a platform, so that you do not sit up there and say, my name is Bennett and I'm not in it. Because you're not worried, like nobody can take the check back that puts you in that position in the first place. Nobody can do that to me. Like, I ain't got $1 million, but I'm doing pretty good. Like, I don't have $1 million as a budget for this show. I don't have $100,000 to spend every week on marketing, but like, I can invest my own shit back into this because what I cannot sell away, which is what Katt Williams is saying throughout this interview. He's saying it to Steve Harvey. He's saying it to Cedric the Entertainer. He's saying it to Harvey Weinstein. He's saying it to Kevin Hart. Saying it to the next person, the next person, the next person is what I cannot sell away is my impulse to say what I have to say when I have to say it. Those are two divergent roads. There's the Kevin Hart road where you take the money, you take the sponsor, you take the movie opportunity, and you trade. In doing so, you trade your creative power to have autonomy over your words in every situation. And there's this other road. And I'm not glorifying Katt Williams as like, I don't know Katt Williams' personal life. I don't know if he's been it's 2024, and so I'm not gonna say I'm not pledging allegiance to anybody, because I know the next thing that comes is y'all will be like, well, in 2014 he did this thing, and in 2003 he did that thing. I'm fine. That's not the point I'm making here. The point I'm making here is there are two paths. There's the path where you take the money, the easy money, and you sell away your words and you sell away what you have to say, and then there's the path that is this path. This is the Katt Williams path. This is the Gucci Man path. This is the brown paper bag path, okay? This is the path where you make $50 and you invest $50 back into your thing, because you got to build it brick by brick, inch by inch. And the truth is, and this part is, to me, a revelation of the last few years. I don't even think you choose which one is for you. I think that is a choice that has been made for you already. You are either this type of person or that type of person. I told you guys a few years ago, somebody who I would be sick right now if I had taken the money. Somebody said, I know you're broke. I got $250,000 a year for you for the next 2 years so that everything that you do creatively belongs to me. And I needed that money so bad. I cannot tell y'all how bad I need that money. It took me years to get back to that kind of money opportunity. But I just not because of some sort of rational calculation. I had no spreadsheet. It wasn't like I wasn't looking at a forecast. I didn't have all these deals in front of me. I was just like, quite literally, my body cannot say yes to it. It's not in my chemistry. And I think that there are people who can do that, like Kevin Hart. And I think there are people who can't do that, like Katt Williams. And Katt Williams is making that point over and over and over throughout the internet and throughout the interview, and he's hilarious while doing it. Can we play the Kevin Hart clip? Because I don't want to. This is not going to be a one-sided. I want to tell y'all something about the other path and how they see people on my path. All right, we can cut it. All right. There's a lot said there. There's a lot of self-aggrandizing going on in that clip. There's a lot of Charlemagne going, But the most important thing that he says is at the beginning, which is Katt Williams had a chance to be in the Kevin Hart slot. And for all intents and purposes, I think that's true. And Kevin Hart is spelling it out clearly. He's like, you're the one that showed up for work. You're the one that was a headache to the studios. You're the one who did this, that, and the third. Like, and he's saying it in a way that is critical. This is the litmus test right here. If you think somebody being at odds with studios makes them a burnout, makes them a flunky, makes them a problem child, that is a way of looking at the world where the job of the person who has an opportunity is to make themselves aligned with power. And that is quite literally, I think, the fastest way to get somewhere. I'm just going to call a spade because I like movies and I like dope art. If what you're solving for is speed, you can be Kevin Hart, which means you will make $20 million movies and you will never make a good fucking movie. That applies to every industry. If you want speed, speed is something to solve for. Like speed you can have and you will not make something dope. You will lay awake at night still wondering, when am I going to do my fire shit? When are they going to see me for how great I am? Because like they can see you, but they see you as McDonald's. They see you as Cheesecake Factory. They don't see you as Rolos. You guys don't even know what that is. You're not hip. But this is my point. Like, this is my point of everything, which is like, intention matters. When I hear Katt Williams in that interview talking about touring 100 stops in America from Shreveport, Louisiana to Chitlin Circuit spots in Alabama, Denver, Colorado, Wyoming, Los Angeles, Detroit, Oakland, and having sold out shows in that room with nobody else holding the puppet strings. And he gets to talk to black folks, white folks, Latin folks, Asian folks, Indian folks, everybody. He gets to talk to Republicans and Democrats and independents and conservatives and liberals. And he gets to just see the people. And then he gets to go do that in the rest of the world. And he never has to look back and check with somebody and be like, yo, am I doing okay? Like, here's your kickback, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I call it the wrong person? Somebody asked me about an underage girl and an NBA player. I didn't say nothing. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? Never having to do that and still getting to go live that dream. And instead of being Kevin Hart with 100 million zillion Instagram followers or whatever, you're Katt Williams and you have like real world notoriety. That is the dream to me. That is my dream. Like, that's it. And I never have to go on an interview and tell a lie. And I never have to go say somebody's dope who's a fuckboy. That's the fucking dream. All right, we're going to go. I think we got it in there. Morgan, do you understand what the point is here? Yes. There are divergent paths. You can do it that other way. And I'm sorry. Morgan told me, we had a phone call. She was like, when the segment is over, it's over. You move on to the next segment. And I'm going to do that. Morgan sent me a 1 minute and 15 second voice note to say that. And she could have said it like 10 seconds, but she doesn't want to upset me, which I appreciate. But it's okay, Morgan. You're the boss. You are Captain Morgan. Okay. All I want to say is, this part's personal. Most of my friends who work in this industry are taking the Kevin Hart path. And in their own ways, in private, with each other, in little conversations where I can't, he's my friend, so I still love him, but I know what time it is. In little conversations where I haven't been able to hear them, they judged me for being hard-headed and ornery in doing it this other way. And like I said, I still love y'all, but that hurt my feelings. And everybody's path is not for everybody. Like, if you, I'm going to say it how I actually mean it, which is, if you don't have the stomach for the Katt Williams path, then try the Kevin Hart path. But you will pay the troll toll your whole freaking life. I've met Kevin Hart. I've never met Katt Williams, but that's it. When we come back, all right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to do the segment break. When we come back, I'm going to quickly shoot off 10 things from the from the Katt Williams interview that I liked. I'm literally just going to agree or disagree with what he says. I'm going to make it so snappy and quick because I think we can get 2 good reels out of this one because it's so buzzy. I think we can take that first spiel and set up the Divergent pass thing as one reel. And then I think we can also do a fun, quick, zing, zing. These are the 10 things Kevin Hart. Blah! I wish their names started with different letters. These are 10 things, and I wish that one of them were over 5'10". These are the 10 things that Katt Williams said that stuck with me the most from that interview. And I could have done 30, but there's 10. Okay? All right, can we play some music? Yep. And then after that, we're going to talk about all right, here are 10 things that Katt Williams said in that interview that they're not all quotes, but they are points that were made that I just want to respond to quickly. Because again, I do think that outside of my particular corners of the internet, I think that many people will write off this conversation between an ex-football player and Katt Williams as if this is some sort of lower form of conversation, but there is quite salient information there, man. There's information everywhere. All right. Start with number 1. I already hit on it, but industry plants, are they real or not? Yes, of course they're real. If you give me and somebody else who has the exact same talent, creative level, output, etc. as me, if you give one or the other of us a $1 million marketing budget over the next year, you have no idea how big I would make this thing over the course of that year with that budget. But the question is just what would it cost me? What would those strings cost me? He keeps saying over and over that Katt Williams says over and over, there's a cabal in Hollywood. There is a group. There are many, he says, actually, but there are these little factions of people who are moving as he speaks openly about the Illuminati and I don't know, other groups of power players that move things around. But there are also those. At some point, I'm just going to own it. Me and the 45 to 60-year-old crowd we don't see eye to eye in my industry. Because all that stuff that they be preaching about pulling people up and opening doors and all that other stuff, like those are talking points. Like that's marketing. That has not been what I have seen in my experience. I have named the people who actually have opened doors for me, but there are 2 of those people or 3 of those people for every 100 people who have known exactly who I am, what I could do, and chosen to see me as competition instead of as somebody who they could mentor or they could open a door for, or they could partner with to get to make 1 + 1 = 3. So he's right. There are cabals in Hollywood, and they do act to keep people out of certain places. This is a good one. Katt Williams, first name basis comedian, a world-renowned known comedian, is saying rape's not funny. He's like, that's not funny. He says it. He's just like, they tried to get me to do a rape scene in I think it was in Friday, and he's just like, at that point, he was early in his career. This was his big shot, and he had to ask kind of with his hat in hand, can we please not do this? Black people getting raped is not funny. And the studio said, okay, we'll take it out. Couldn't agree more, man. Rape's it's just literally not funny. I think a comedian's telling you that. It's true.
Friday After Next was the movie.
Friday After Next. Thank you. This one was spicy. He said it several times over and over. He said that the Hollywood success starter kit for black people, black men specifically, is you get fame, you get money, and you are distributed. I literally want to close my eyes when I say this because it is such a gross corner of a conversation that is so scary for me to even stick my toe in. But he says, and you get a weird-faced, light-skinned wife. He said it so many times. I can't even look at the camera. He said it several times, and you all know what he's talking about. Like, you all know what he's talking about. Here's how I can say it in a way that is not gross, which is pattern matching in the dating pool in Hollywood is so cookie cutter. Like it is like to a height, skin tone, facial feature, body type, hairstyle, smell, scent, like what worn scents are chosen. It is so like, I remember walking into some of these parties at the beginning of this. I talked about this where I'd walk into these parties and I could tell I was invisible in a way that was in some ways actually protection for me because I had nothing to offer, nothing that was valuable in those rooms. I just remember being like, damn, this is so fucked up. But like, I can't tell the difference between these people. Like I can't tell where one person ends and the next person begins because everybody looks the exact same. It's like someone has issued, there are ways people describe these people, and I don't want to get gross with it, but it's like, I said it, it's like the KFC chicken. It's like somebody just chose exactly the type of chicken that we could eat, which is like all breasts and thighs, a certain amount of cooking done to it, and that's it. All right, I've done too much here. I'm moving on. Competition as fuel is a theme in this interview. I spent probably the last 4 years telling myself, do not feel competitive. Competition is a waste of energy. Abundance mindset over scarcity mindset. What are we competing for? There are no scarce resources. And I like it every now and then when I see an interview where someone is just being honest to say, a part of how I knew I could make it, I feel this way. Part of how I knew I could make it was seeing people who couldn't write get writer jobs. Does that mean? Morgan, does that mean?
No, I think that's real.
Yeah, like seeing people who I knew weren't clever or smart.
That's definitely real.
Yeah.
Is that mean though?
No, I feel that way.
That's real.
Yeah.
Like seeing people who I knew couldn't do the thing, like seeing people whose mind I know wasn't quick get TV jobs, get podcasts, get book deals. Like people, like when I say literally people who I knew couldn't write get book deals, I mean people who had to hire book writers to help them write their book. When I do that, because I will do that eventually, I will do it because I don't feel like writing the book. But like I just wrote my second book. I write my ass off. I saw people who were marketers becoming authors. And that shit, I'm not letting go of that. Like every time I see somebody who I know is not hot get an opportunity, it does remind, it's starting now to work in a more healthy way where I'm like, oh, that must be easier than it looks because look at this fool. All right. You guys said it wasn't mean, so I said it.
No, I agree that one wasn't mean.
Okay, great. I'm going to use the mean meter, the Morgan mean meter more. All right, he said this shit. My goal was to get this far in Hollywood with a virgin asshole. He said that without sucking a penis. Now, let's just take sexuality out of it for a second. Like, I think what he means is like, my goal was to get this far in Hollywood without having to do something for someone else that was depraved. Something that was taking from my humanity or my ability to have choice and agency over my body. I mean, and he's being literal, like, because he talks about people in the interview who would do sexual favors for opportunity. I am also here to tell y'all, like, not that I did that, if that's where you thought I was going, but that's also a real thing, obviously. Like, we all know that now, but, like, it's kind of different when you just know it. So, yeah, that's real. He says, I prefer the company of women. No disrespect to these groups of guys who ride around together, but I just prefer to work with women. Ditto. That's easy. Morgan, is that true or false? Ditto. Like, the bar for for me to work with a guy is probably 30 or 40% higher than it is for me to work with a lady. Because there's so much that guys take off the table by being around sometimes. Like, there's so much more navigation of ego. There's so much more like sloppiness. Am I being politically incorrect? Is this
I mean,
feels true.
I think women are capable of being sloppy and having big egos, but I guess
yes,
statistically, I guess.
Guys are just a tougher hang to me. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yes, women, you are quite capable of being sloppy. Thank you. Morgan is here to stand up for you. Yes, you are also sloppy. Well said, Captain Morgan. All right, I'm just gonna do one more because 10 it feels like too long. Last one. Morgan wanted me to add this one.
No, I really?
You didn't?
I just threw it on there because, okay, fine, sure.
Josh,
I mean, I guess I did tee it up. Okay.
Did Morgan or did she not want me to add this one?
Was this right before we got started?
Yes.
Y'all know what I was going through right before we got started.
No. It wasn't. It was during the break just now about Tyler Perry and Ricky Smiley.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Morgan wanted me to add Tyler Perry and Ricky Smiley. He said, Katt Williams said, can't play a man to save their life. I was watching a Goldman Sachs interview between some 50-year-old white guy executive and Tyler Perry. And it was like meant to be this very serious conversation with Tyler Perry, the titan of media, the billion-dollar man, owner of Tyler Perry Studios down in Atlanta. And they're having this very serious conversation about, this paints the picture so well. They are having this very important conversation about Tyler Perry's career and everything he has built. Yes, Morgan?
Sorry, your phone is just turned.
And like who he is and what he means and who he is as a businessman and his mantras and his discipline and his vision. And they get to like the 40-minute mark of this interview, and this dude wants Tyler Perry to basically do the Medea voice. And I'm like, yo, cautionary tale, man. Like, listen, I'm not Spike. I'm not. Whoever wants to put a dress on, put it on. That's how I feel. This is not about like I have an issue with guys putting on dresses. And I think we have so overcooked that meal as a conversation in our community. It's just a conversation about what it takes for you to get where you're going. Those things don't just go away. Like, Tyler Perry is going to be asked to do the Medea voice. He's got $1 billion. Like, he's going to be asked to do the Medea voice until his last breath. And I can tell while watching that conversation, maybe bookmark this because it could make a good reel for later. I could tell while watching that conversation that Tyler Perry, he didn't want to do it. It felt like if $1 billion doesn't give you the right to just be like, nope, don't feel like it, and don't ask me no more questions about that. Or to tell somebody before the interview, like, do not ask me about that. Like, he did not want to do the thing, but he did it in a way that looked like muscle memory pandering. And I was like, man, I don't want to feel like that in an interview at the peak, at the pinnacle of my career. I don't like, what is the point of all this? All right. That's the last one. I'm not doing any more. Did I say the point of that? Katt Williams said Tyler Perry and Ricky Smiley couldn't play a man to save their life. All right. Which I disagree with. I think Tyler Perry is quite passable as an actor.